Hello crafters, this is Brett Lund from Robert's Crafts for another installment of your Try It Thursday. Today we are going to actually do a little bit different from what I've done in the past. We are going to talk about one of the really fun tools that Robert's Crafts carries. I'm going to show you how to play around with it because at first, if you play around with it, you're going to think that it's defective, which in reality it is not. What we're going to be using today is we're going to be using the Tim Holtz Alterations embossing folders from Sizzix, and if you look at the other thing, the basic Sizzix ones are basically different patterns, but they're the same concept. So we're going to use both of them. Now, let me show you the great thing about the Alterations folders that I really like. The Alterations are made for a very deep impression. So these are going to give you a nice, very deep impression, and that can have benefits and it can have drawbacks if you don't know how to deal with it. Some of the benefits is if you look, this, because it is a deep impression, this is the only one that can actually emboss on chipboard. So this is actually a thick piece of chipboard. It's pretty thick, and look at that embossed image. I don't know if you can see that, but let's see if you can see it there. But this image is embossed. Okay, with a normal embossing folder, you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, now on the other side of the coin, I'm going to show you this. And the paper that I'm using today is the Coordinations paper, which is white core or lighter colored core. Now let me show you this one right here. This one I'd use the same embossing folder, but if you look along the edges, you see how there's lots of white. It's almost as if the paper was pressed so much that what happens is it almost looks like it's ripping. Okay, now you look at that and say, oh, well, you know, the paper's too thin. Well, let me show you what's going on here. With the embossing folder, this is the one that we use, so I'll use this one again. With the embossing folder, because it is a very deep, thick one, it's going to go ahead and press really, really hard. So in order to deal with that issue, what you want to do is you want to place a piece of chipboard in the embossing folder when you emboss, and then what will happen is then, if you look right here, if you notice, this is the exact same image, but the paper is not pressed to the very max. So basically what we're doing is the chipboard folder is in essence taking some of that pressure. So that's one thing that the embossing folders are really sometimes people don't know how to work that. Another really fun thing that I love is if you look on the back, see this is the front, if you look on the back, the folder itself doesn't go to the very edge. It doesn't go to the very edge right here, and it doesn't go to the very edge right here. Okay, that is on purpose. And the reason why is, let me show you, is when you fold a card, if you were to emboss this, what's going to happen is the image is going to be embossed on this side as well as this side. Now what happens if you're doing a card and you don't want to have this image embossed on the front and the back? Well, this is where it comes into play. You go ahead and slide this in, and if you notice right here, the edge actually sits on the back side of the embossing folder. So it lets you be able to emboss only the front of the card, and then the back side stays unembossed. Okay, so let me show you how this turns out. And once again, because I know the paper, this is a really thick embossing folder, what I would like to do is I like to put in, once again, I like to put in a piece of chipboard. Now we're going to be using the Vagabond from Tim Holtz. The Vagabond is one of my favorite, if not favorite, die cut systems. And the reason why is I will show you. Okay, all we're doing with the Vagabond is I'm placing in, I'm using the shim and the adapter, and then all I'm doing is I'm putting my impression down. Oops, excuse me. I need to put one down, and then I put the impression, and then I put this guy on top. Okay, super easy. We're gonna make sure, if you look right here, we're gonna make sure the direction is going that way, and then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press. Okay. Okay, now let's get this out of here. And then if you look right here, there is the image. Okay, and if you notice, the image itself is nice and embossed. The paper is not ripped. See, look at the differences. You have this one where the paper is ripped, and this one is just the nice embossed image. And that was because we were able to use the chipboard as almost as a kind of a stress reliever. And then if you look on the back, see, the back is not embossed. So those are just a few options, a few ideas for you to play around with the Alterations dies from Sizzix, as well as the other Sizzix dies that are out there. Basic Gray makes quite a few that are done by Sizzix. And in our stores, we carry both. We carry the basic alterations, and we carry the texture folds, which are these ones, and then we also carry the Tim Holtz Alterations. So as always, you can find these and other products in your local Roberts Craft store, as well as on the internet, www.robertscrafts.com. And until then, happy crafting.